Open Your Eyes is brought to you by the Belize Bank. Our country, your bank.
Good morning and welcome to Open Your Eyes.
Start your morning right. I'm John Palacio.
And I'm Marlene Cuellar. And thank you for joining us this morning.
Yay, it's a beautiful Wednesday morning out, Marlene. Sort of still. There was one spell I looked through my window and noticed not even the coconut tree are moving. What's going on?
I think that's the universal sign to look at to see how hot it's going to be. Because I do the same. I'm like, look at that. No wind at all.
No wind at all. So that's what I noticed as I woke up this morning, that it was very still morning.
Yeah.
It's already hot outside, but we do hope that everything is A-okay in your neck of the wood. It's a beautiful Wednesday Belizean morning.
That's right.
That's right.
And, I think that the key thing here is that people know they have guaranteed sunlight for today and tomorrow so far from what we know from our weather reports. So if you have anything outdoors that has to get done, don't worry about it. I know people are always worried about their laundry, especially, right?
Of course. I mean, you got
nothing worse than trying to pick in the middle of rain.
When you notice everybody neck long out, they try one knife, that gray cloud is going to burst right here because they've got some laundry to do. But nonetheless, like I mentioned, Marlene, we're in a beautiful little country, Belize, and we must give thanks for what we've got. We'll be taking a look at the weather a little later on this morning our show. But there's so many things that we could actually showcase from or actually talk about from last night's newscast.
Yeah.
The
that
water
home
situation.
Invasion, man.
I was exactly going there, but there's the water situation there in St. Bite Village. All these port situation that's going on. The COVID-19 situation that's going on across the world. But the home invasion is definitely one that is hitting, like next to home. That to me, just watching the story as we covered it, as Isani covered it yesterday, it's scary. You don't know the parties that are next to you, that are watching you, and then, you could be conversing right here, Marlene, we are having a conversation, and then things are actually happening in the back. It could be, that's a traumatizing situation there. And Isani covered it. And of course, we've got some more details in that.
Yeah, so we're going to take a look at that story in case you missed it last night and kind of talk a bit about just this type of crime. It's a really tough one to be able to digest. So this was an incident that took place on Monday, and here's a report from last night's news.
I kept pleading to them, telling them, I'm a nurse working with the COVID patients, but one was really insisting, And eventually one of them said to me, Mom, I promise you that, I asked him, please don't kill us. And then he said to me, you know what, I give you my word that I will not.
Identifying herself as a regional health manager dealing with COVID-19 victims is perhaps what saved the lives of Melinda Guerra and Dr. Maria Reyes. They are both victims of a pre-dawn attack during which 4 armed thieves entered their residence on Chancellor Avenue.
Early this morning at around 3:46, I heard a noise, like a squeaky sound, but nothing alarming. So I put on the lights for the house, and then I went back to my bed. Then I heard a second sound, then I heard a third sound, but then I said probably it's just my nerves. So I just never paid no mind, and I went to sleep.
What Nurse Guerra heard were sounds coming from the rear of her property as the quartet pried open the burglar bars on a window on the lower flat. Thinking nothing of it, she dismissed the noise, only to find out later that the men had gained entry.
It was about 4:45 when I heard Dr. Reyes, shouting, and I came out and then I saw these officers camouflage clothes and black clothes. So they have like BDF clothes and the black clothes, so with hats, and they have their faces covered, masks, they have gloves. So, but initially I thought it was the police, but then right away I clicked and I said, no, these are thieves.
Dr. Reyes, who occupies another flat, is recovering from a recent stroke. According to Guerra, she pleaded with the men not to harm either of them. That's when they shifted attention to their primary objective.
That's when the ordeal started, that they said, okay, well, they want money. So I told them, we don't have any money in the house. We don't have. At that time, I never realized, that, well, they were searching. It's four of them, four guys, tall guys, three tall guys and one short one. And then afterwards, then I remember, probably we have Dr. a little box, a cash pan. I said, the only thing we have is a cash pan, so they asked me, so I went and I got it for them, and I gave it to them.
Inside the cash box was a substantial sum in US currency, money that would have been used for a retirement trip to the Holy City. Under duress, Guerra surrendered the safe, along with various pieces of jewelry that were stored in her bedroom. If that wasn't bad enough, the men then stole a piggy bank stuffed with $1 coins for good measure, before making off in Dr. Reyes' late model Toyota Hilux. There was a substantial amount of money taken during this aggravated burglary. Do you believe that they had first-hand knowledge that money in large quantities were here?
That's a hard question, because really we don't get strangers don't really come to the house. I just think that probably they saw the house and we were just targeted, that's what I think. Because when they were searching and searching and they couldn't find anything.
Police have been on the scene since morning as an investigation is underway. For now, there is no word on the whereabouts of the stolen vehicle. Reporting for News 5, I am Isana Cayetano.
Yeah. That's a nightmare. I mean, can you imagine? You wake up in the morning, you could be going around your day. I think the idea of having somebody invade your space, the theft, the trauma of being held hostage, the negotiation and pleading for your life.
Yeah.
I mean, those are added elements. But if you just start at the base with home invasions and how traumatizing it is to be walking around the space that you are most comfortable. Imagine you're at home, you're sitting in front of your television, or you're in the kitchen making breakfast, and there's an intruder in your home, with intentions that you don't know. It's absolutely horrifying.
That's Marlene, that is a serious situation that I don't even know how to decipher. I have been a victim of theft already, and just thinking about listening to that news story. We were at home sleeping, woke up in the morning early, and I'm just giving this story so you could understand what somebody is going through. Woke up in the morning, noticed that all the windows were out, all the blinds were out, and made a look to my left. And when I looked to my left, the back door was open. So I thought at that time my sister-in-law was actually doing laundry, but it was around 4 in the morning. And when I looked to my right, there was no TV, no stereo, no PlayStation, no nothing. And that's a traumatizing thought in itself. Now imagine being pounced upon by perpetrators trying to get what is not theirs, coming along with guns and knives. I mean, I could just imagine what these people, what the nurses are actually going through at this particular point. It is a tough situation that we find ourselves in. Then some folks might say, "Oh, it's desperation. Desperate time call for desperate measures." That's poor excuse. We should never be at this point. It is a tough situation, and
I think one of the troubling facts, one, that it's early morning. Secondly, that the home had burglar bars. So many of us, try to protect ourselves as best as possible.
By using that.
You put in
first line of defense, burglar
sometimes,
bars.
and even security cameras, John. We see where businesses are being held up with security cameras. Burglars aren't even the robbers aren't even covering their face anymore, or they can rely on just the mask use. It is very scary, and we do want to see, of course, that they are still trying to locate the vehicle. That can be a key tip in how these persons can be identified. I think the only silver lining in all of this is that they were able to survive the ordeal.
Yeah.
And really amazing where she kind of says in the story that she had to explain to them, listen, I'm a nurse. I work with COVID patients.
Yeah.
I am one of those people who's giving above and beyond
Yeah.
to be able to help to save lives in
Yeah.
this country in the middle of this pandemic. Whether or not that's what saved her life is one thing, but that's what you had to rely on to
protect yourself,
And your loved one,
primarily because you're of course there thinking that I might lose my life, but we shouldn't have to be in a situation whereby people are actually breaking into your homes.
But crimes like these are going to happen. I don't want to be, and it sounds horrible, but I do think one of the things I was thinking of as I saw the story last night was how effective it is to kind of be your brother's keeper.
Yeah.
And I know some communities have very active neighborhood watch groups. They kind of keep an eye out for each other. They see new people in the area, people who aren't normally there that time, or people who are scoping out. These are things that perhaps you want to consider in the area that you live, because you can't have eyes on your home 24/7 and your property 24/7. And I'm sure any person who's been through things like this, it's property is one thing, but the preservation of life and safety is another.
Indeed.
Because there are some awful stories of these types of crime that the trauma that people are left with, it's unimaginable.
And we know that we know that it's happening in every nooks and cranny of this country. But you're right, Marlene. At this particular point, we need to be our brother's keeper. We know that things are hard, and it's for everyone at this particular point. But meet with your neighbor and have a conversation and say, what, this is what's going on, that is what's going on. If I help you, you help me. And this, like they say, two heads are better than one, more eyes are better than none, And so therefore, those are the kind of conversations we're supposed to be having with each other and try to help each other in every which way possible, especially when we're neighbors.
So that's one of the stories I know people are discussing, and we're all looking at it thinking, okay, naturally, am I safe enough? Am I protected enough? And
That's
so,
the question.
Like I said, I think this is a good time for us to start to be more community minded and think of how we can keep an eye out for each other as well. And luckily, they were able to survive this ordeal. But as I said, you can definitely help in the case if you saw people in the area, if you've seen the truck that is they're still looking for it so that they can identify the people who were involved in this crime.
Indeed. The hotlines are there, 922-TIPS.
Yeah.
These hotlines are there. If you've seen anything at all, let's call the cops, all right? But in being our brother's keeper, Marlene, another big issue that we continue to see across the world, especially right here at home, is of course our COVID situation. COVID-19 continues to ravage the country. We continue to get double-digit numbers from the Ministry of Health, and it all boils down to us and the way that we continue to carry ourselves, Marlene. At this particular point, we know that it is a community spread across the country. As a matter of fact, that is being shown as we speak. And so what we need to do is to continue to adhere to these rules and try to keep ourselves socially distant. The numbers, they're the numbers.
321 confirmed cases in 24 hours.
Yep.
And I mean, almost 3,000, just a little less than 3,000 active cases in the country. I always say this, those are the cases that are reported, because we know COVID-19 can be found in persons that have absolutely no symptoms. They may not have come in contact with the system to be tested as yet. So definitely there are more than this number that we see in front of us. But looking once again at the number of deaths, 7 persons have lost their lives to COVID-19. John, it's just, I struggle to understand what it's going to take for us to get these numbers down. I've said before that we were informed by different ministry officials that in fact the effects of the 2-week severe restrictions or the 7 p.m. curfew and the no movement Sunday those, we were supposed to see those effects 2 weeks, 3 weeks after.
Afterwards.
At the end of this week, we'll be approaching 2 weeks, and we're seeing 300 new cases a day.
270 or 51, 251 new recoveries.
Yeah.
But we continue to see double digits when it comes, especially here in Belize City. You know, these are the numbers that we're continuing to see here in our country. What is it going to take?
Well,
you know,
a couple of things that I have been that I think are important to understand. One, we are still going around our daily life, and while we do have a curfew, people are going to work, people are on public transportation, people are getting together with friends. Restaurants are now allowed to have fully vaccinated persons. I think the question is whether or not we are taking a personal responsibility in maintaining the protocols that are asked of us. You see that there's two ends of it. It's either we take the responsibility or it's forced upon us, where you can't go anywhere, move anywhere, and the entire country is in a lockdown. And it's been very clear that that's not a direction that the country can go. And that's a decision across the globe. The economic effects of it are just too damaging. So there is a level of responsibility that's being placed on us as citizens to be able to do our part. Now, I am cautious when I say that because I don't want to get involved in kind of this blame game that if somebody's COVID positive that you should say, oh, you were irresponsible. That's just how contagious it is. We have to be so cautious when moving around because you just don't know when you're going to be in contact with someone who's positive.
Simply because of, especially because of a community spread, whereby you don't know where it's at, you don't know who's got it. There are people who are asymptomatic, like you mentioned, Marlene, and so therefore that is a tough situation. But speaking of a tough situation, we continue to see some serious numbers when it comes to the deaths from COVID-19.
Yeah, actually, yesterday, so the Ministry of Health has started a new show, a program that they have in the evenings. It's after work, so people can be able to check it out. It's on Facebook. And so ministry officials have been presenting information about the situation of COVID-19. And so we actually have a clip from yesterday where Dr. Francis Murray, who is the Deputy Director of Health Services, presented some information, very interesting information, on our current hospitalization rate and mortality rate. So we're going to check in on that and just to see what he had to say.
Within our facilities, and this includes the Karl Huschner Memorial Hospital, it includes the private sector, it includes all our public health facilities that extend from Corozal through San Ignacio and down far as PG, and including the Western Regional Hospital. As a result of the cumulative number of cases being hospitalized, we have that today we have 55 hospitalizations, of which 18 are ICU admissions in the areas. In regards to the number of deaths that we have in the country, today we've had 7 new deaths for a cumulative number of 1.93 fatality rate. We have a total number of 449 deaths as of the beginning of the pandemic, which now I believe goes beyond the 18 months period, with a fatality rate of 1.93. The number of hospitalizations, as we had said before, in regards to the cumulative deaths up to from September 1st to October 12th is 88, of which the greater number of deaths is actually seen in the age group of 60 and above, followed closely by those between 40 to 59. Into regards to the different distribution as of April 1st to October 11th, we have for the past months a cumulative number of 122 deaths, distributed with the greater number being in the Belize district, followed by Orange Walk and the Cayo districts. As to note, these are the areas that have the highest number of population, Also, that may be considered is for the Belize district, the context of the current outbreak scenario, and also it serves as a tertiary referral hospital, being the Carl Hushna, which most of our moderate to severe cases or severe to critically ill cases are sent. So the distribution and hence the numbers being represented by the slides that you see. In regards to the relationship with the deaths as of April 1st to today, we have that 11 of these individuals have had 9 have had a first dose of their vaccine. We have 18 of them being fully vaccinated, and to which 93 of these individuals of our Belizeans, brothers and sisters, have passed away due to COVID. Hence the realization that we must continue to support the vaccination process as requested and supported by the Ministry of Health. The concern going forward is that many of these, the rates that are being seen in these individuals per 10,000 population is that we maintain for the fully vaccinated a range of 1.2 within our current context. The death rate per 10,000 population is 4.1, hence signaling once again the need to continue the vaccination process across the country, and we need to have the entire population more than vaccinated, surpassing that what we may think is herd immunity, to which we know we had initially started this process by. The associated comorbidities that have been presented in those who are partially vaccinated continue to be the NCDs, which has been not only in this scenario, but the leading causes of death in the entire country of Belize historically. And hence most of our persons who are affected by NCDs, primarily diabetes, chronic renal failure, high blood pressure, asthma, obesity, cancer, HIV/AIDS are some of the most significant diseases that are contributing to the high mortality rate that we are seeing in our population. The concern is why are we seeing our vaccinated population being affected by and passing away by COVID? COVID by itself is a phenomenon. It doesn't spare any person. It produces a severe storm of cytokines. That means it dysregulates your hormonal process. And most of these individuals who have already a compromised immune system, it actually triplicates and produces a debacle of hormones and other mechanisms within our country that cannot be, within the body, that cannot be regulated by these individuals because of the severity of the disease. The same scenario goes in regards to individuals who are being fully vaccinated, where diabetes by itself, which is is considered a disease that suppresses the autoimmune system or the response. Chronic renal failure being the second cause, high blood pressure, obesity, asthma, and 20% of information not available, whether because we don't have a health-seeking behavior and also the information not being recorded in our health system. It must also be known that, for example, Belize has a profile, and it has a profile of which more than only about 25% of our known diabetics are actually controlled, meaning that we have persons out there who are not controlled metabolically and are not taking their medications. And also with the advent of COVID, there has been socioeconomic challenges to most of our households and families, and also on a personal basis. High blood pressure by itself can be triggered by the pandemic. We've been more than 18 months into this scenario. The access to healthcare, drinking medications, being able to purchase these medications is also a concern. And only about 11% of the entire persons of the entire hypertensive population in Belize are under control. This is something that is of concern for us going forward, not only due to COVID, but because of the risk it poses for further deaths if these individuals are not controlled. In regards to the distribution of the different age groups being affected, we are seeing that out of the 122 cumulative deaths that have been seen as of April 1st to October 12th, Many of these individuals are of 65 plus, for which 52 of these persons have been seen. Of concern for us is the 40 to 44 age group, to which many of our Belizean brothers and sisters are either obese, have uncontrolled diabetes, have been diagnosed as having high blood pressure, which are not controlled. Our population is at risk because of HIV/AIDS, tuberculosis, and other diseases of concern. We're also cognizant that cancer is very rampant in our population, and that this is a specific age group that is of concern to the Ministry of Health across the board. In regards to the districts who are most affected, we're seeing that the Belize district, as I mentioned previously, there's a total of 59 females who are affected in compared to male who are 63. So there's not much of a significant difference in regards to the sexes at this point in time. What we do note that the Belize district, as we previously said, the Cayo and the Orange Walk districts have been the districts most affected by COVID deaths during the last 18 plus months. As you may note, the pandemic, the highest area or the epicenter for a few months ago last year were the northern districts of Orange Walk, in which most of these persons had presented with the normal variant, and now we have the Delta variant in our country. There was a certain certainty that these persons were not controlled, and as such, NCDs continue to be a disease of concern where most of the population do not control their disease. So in essence, that's a brief description of what we have up to today. We expect that there will be continue to present a much more digestive and scenario in regards to the COVID mortality and the different rates that are affected in the next couple of days.
Very important information coming out there, and I think answering one of the questions that has been lingering. People have been asking, people who have been hesitant or against getting the vaccine, who's been using, they've been watching the data and seeing persons who are fully vaccinated still losing their lives. And, I think it's very easy to be swayed to stick with your decision to not get vaccinated when you see that. But clearly, what Dr. Murray's presentation pointed out was the breakdown, the official breakdown of the deaths, the deaths of fully vaccinated persons and what they call the comorbidities that go along with it. And I know that's a word that we don't talk about very often. It just means you have another condition or disease that your body is already fighting. And that includes diabetes. We have so many people in this country who have diabetes. It is even more worrisome if you've not been in controlling your blood sugar levels at a sustained appropriate level. Hypertension is another comorbidity. People who have cancer, people who have been diagnosed with cancer, or people who sometimes don't quite know they have cancer as yet. Some are on treatment. Your body is already working hard to regulate these diseases and to fight them. And COVID-19, as I know we had Dr. Hidalgo on the show explain to us a while back, it adds another effect, something else in your body that your body is also working to fight with. So you also, and we have to look at the statistics as well to say that another comorbidity that is recognized is obesity, because the challenges of being obese means that your body does have to work a bit harder. And so that is also something that is identified as one of the comorbidities that can, even for a fully vaccinated person, put you at a higher risk. Now, it doesn't mean that if you're fully vaccinated and you're diabetic or hypertensive, that you are going to lose your life to COVID. The vaccine is an added layer of protection. And I know persons who are hypertensive who've recovered. I know people who are diabetic who are recovered. The elderly population, still very much at risk, but we do know elderly people who recover. But what happens with the vaccination is that you just have that extra layer of protection to help you out.
It's an additional hand that you've been given to help and protect you for fighting off the COVID-19. Marlene, one of the things I got from Dr. Murray, and it stick with me, and as a matter of fact, while we had Dr. Hidalgo on, I made mention that one of the things that is very important for us is for us to continue to do regular checkups, because it's very important that you know your health status. You should know your health status. You should know how you're feeling. Continue to listen to your body and find out, how am I able to, when am I able to, what am I able to make things better for you with respect to your health.
All right. So that is the breakdown as provided by the Ministry of Health. And so it sets the backdrop. It answers a very important question as to why we're seeing these deaths of persons who are fully vaccinated. And of course, we'll have more on that. I think the question will be, what about booster shots? And as our viewers may know, we're going to be joined by the Prime Minister today. Very eager to hear if there's any plans along those lines. And speaking of which, we got to get moving into our show. We wanted to give you that information to help you get up to date with what's happening. But let's just shift gears to some motivation to get you going for today. And so that means it's time for our eye opener. When we're feeling lonely, we have lost the idea that we are all one and none of us are separate from the whole. We all have days when we feel lonely. But the very idea of loneliness comes from the false notion that we are separated and isolated parts in a world filled with other separate, isolated parts. In truth, we can no more be separate from our world than a fish can be separate from the water in which it swims. When we really begin to look at the boundaries we see as so solid, they prove to be, in fact, quite porous. For example, it is not clear exactly where our skin ends and the air begins when we consider how our skin is affected by changes in the quality of the air. When it is dry, our skin becomes dry, and when it's humid, our skin becomes moist and supple. If loneliness is a temporary condition based on an incomplete understanding of what we're made of, we can think of its presence as a catalyst for exploring our ideas about reality. We can respond by testing the boundaries we believe separate us from the life within and all around us. If we test them, we will discover that they're not so solid after all, and that we can never really be alone.
The last part for me. We can never really be alone. It started off by saying that when we're feeling lonely, we have lost the idea that we're all one and none of us are separate from the whole. Yeah. We're never all alone. And I always use my mindset or my mental for me to feel like I've got the companionship that I need. We're able to think for ourselves, Marlene. That's basically you and yours. Mm-hmm. We're able to do things for ourselves. We're never alone. We're able to take care of things by ourselves. And I'm so glad that the eye opener breaks that down for us, giving us examples by using the skin, using dry, using moisture. This is a great way to start our morning, by knowing that you're always in companionship, even if it's just you and your mind. This is a great reality for us.
Well, I think it brings it full circle from what we started. When we talked about the home invasion that took place yesterday, one of the first things that we said was, we have to look out for each other. And it's the same with the crime situation. Yeah. So when we look at the idea of not seeing yourself as isolated and alone and feelings of loneliness, we must also consider how we can be more community-minded when it comes to tackling some of the great challenges that we have. Community-minded in how we approach COVID, community-minded in how we approach crime. Yeah. These are all things that can help us to get out of the situation that we are and keep each other safe.
Community-minded, and that's the word that those are the two words that we're going to leave you with for this morning. Community-minded. Let's continue to move that way forward. All right. It is a time in the morning, though, whereby we take a look at the weather so you know exactly what you should expect for today.
All right, and we're going to go ahead and read the prepared forecast for today. The general situation is for mainly fair conditions to prevail.
In the 24-hour forecast, it's saying sunny, mostly sunny today and clear to partly cloudy tonight. Showers will be isolated with a chance for an isolated afternoon thunderstorm over the mountains.
All right, the winds are moving from the east at 5 to 10 knots, and the sea state is slight.
Well, while we felt it as still as possible this morning, the highs and low temperatures for today: in the highs 89 degrees Fahrenheit coastal, 96 inland, and 82 up in the hills. For tonight, lows will be falling as low as 80 degrees Fahrenheit coastal, 72 inland, and a cool 66 degrees Fahrenheit up in the hills.
All right, our extended forecast: showers, if any, will be isolated for Thursday, along with isolated afternoon thunderstorms inland. Then generally isolated showers and thunderstorms for Thursday night.
All right. And just the icing on the cake there, tropical cyclone formation is not expected within the next 48 hours.
All right. We want to thank our forecaster, Crystal Rosales, for that update this morning.
All right. So we move on for this morning. This morning's show, we've got in with us this morning the Prime Minister of Belize, the Honorable John Briceño. He'll be going the full length with us this morning to talk to us about the state within our country.
All right. So before we get moving into that conversation, we have a birthday shout out for this morning.
Yes,
and we're
we
saying
do.
happy birthday to
None other than Pastor Kenneth Welch. Happy birthday to you, Pastor Kenneth Welch. Here's wishing you all the very best from your entire family, from all of us right here on Channel 5, and all of us right here on Open Your Eyes. Happy birthday. We'll take the break. When we come back, we'll chit-chat with the Prime Minister of Belize. Stay with us. We'll be back.
It's a fact that with Smart, you get truly unlimited everything. Only with Smart, you get unlimited data anytime. While with the other guy, it's only double data on weekends. With unlimited data every day with Smart, there's no need to wait. So, it's a fact that our unlimited plans beat the competition. Stop being measured and told when to use your data and get unlimited talk, text, and data. Experience the true unlimited plans with Smart. That's a fact. Make the switch and live smart.
Good morning, sweetie. It's time for school.
Are you a teacher or public sector employee who is thinking of owning your new home? Get the keys to your new home with Belize Bank's all-inclusive mortgage, the best financing option in Belize for your new home purchase or construction. Inclusive of all mortgage-related fees, no down payment, affordable terms, amazingly low interest rates. Visit our nearest branch to speak to one of our financial advisors to discuss how you can be one step closer to owning your new home. Some conditions apply.
The continued fight against COVID-19 requires the continued practice of public health measures across all sectors and in every community. Frequent and proper hand washing, wearing face masks, and physical distancing. Do you know who is not physical distancing? The Aedes aegypti mosquito. Did you know that dengue is the most common mosquito-borne viral disease in the world? So let's get to work. Use window and door screens to keep mosquitoes out. Change the water in vases and scrub inside surfaces to remove mosquito eggs. Avoid using saucers with potted plants to prevent collection of water. Securely cover water barrels and drums with mosquito netting and properly fitted covers. Scrub the inside walls of water barrels and drums with detergent 1 to 2 times per week. Walk around the outside of your home and remove or overturn containers that can collect water and become breeding sites. Mosquitoes only need a small amount of water to lay their eggs. Remove unwanted cans, bottles, buckets, or used tires. Other items still in use must be properly stored in covered areas to avoid water settling in them. Clean roof gutters and air conditioner trays. Debushing and removing tall grass from around your home or establishment is also key to reducing mosquito populations. Fight the bite and protect yourself and your family too from mosquito-borne diseases.
Vaccines protect you and they protect me. Getting vaccinated is one of the most important things you can do to keep yourself and your family safe and healthy. Once enough people are immunized, opportunities for an outbreak of disease becomes very low. And if we all choose to get vaccinated, we contribute in getting back to spending quality time with our loved ones in a safe way.
Life can be tough when a loved one suddenly departs. Dependents of the deceased are sometimes left alone to pick up the pieces and may be stranded financially. Fortunately, the Social Security Board provides survivor's benefit to ease the burden. Survivor's benefit is paid to a widow or widower, children under 18 years, or up to 21 years if attending school, or dependent parents. A survivor's benefit can be either a grant or a pension. Want to know more about survivor's benefit? Visit our website or contact any of our offices to have someone assist you. Also, be sure to visit our Facebook page and give us a like to stay informed. Social Security Board, safeguarding you, your family, your future.
Welcome back to Open Your Eyes, and we're moving into our segment because it's going to be, of course, double. Moving into our segment for this morning, and this one is definitely a conversation to have. It's actually about the nation's issues. So we'll be addressing the nation. We're talking to the Prime Minister of Belize, Honorable John Briceño. Sir, good morning and welcome.
You make it sound like a circus, you know? Prime Minister.
I hope that's not a good thing, man.
But good morning, John. Marlene, thank you so much again for inviting. It is about, what, the fourth, fifth time that I've been here since being Prime Minister. So I've been here a number of times. So it's always a pleasure.
Yeah.
I always feel that it's a privilege to be on the show, that they give me opportunity to speak not only to you, but to thousands of people, both on TV and via the internet at the same time. So thank you so much.
Yeah, of course.
It's always good to have you in. You know, I during the commercial break, I had mentioned to you that the last time I had a sit down with you was a few months before the election. So that's long ago. And I want to start off on a light note, Prime Minister. And I think
I have a few more gray hairs.
And I think you know, people's buy-in is always to find the lighter side of somebody. Now, you're in the toughest seat in this country. You are. That's your spot. Maybe not necessarily vying for what you've found, but what's your thoughts and your mindset now from whence you got it to where you are at this particular point? Let's start there because we've got some issues to talk about.
We're certainly in a much better position than where we were back then when we got into government. And when we got into government, there was a sense of a lack of direction, a sense of hopelessness from citizens generally, feeling as if nothing's happening, you know, and that we've just been floundering, you know, just wherever the wind would take us, or the currents. But I believe now that there's a sense of purpose in Belize once again, and it has taken a lot of concerted effort, work and discipline to get us where we are. For instance, when you look at the issue of the economy, was the economy still not where we want it to be? It is going in the right direction. The IMF predicted that we were going to have, if we were lucky, 2%, a growth rate of 2%. From the indications from what we see, we probably will hit 6%, 3 times more than what they did. More people are working. Agriculture is on the rebound. Tourism, you know, again, is rebounding way faster than what people expected. Last week, I think we had about 3 cruise ships coming into Belize, you know, and so I'm starting to feel with people, a lot of people, a sense of optimism, a sense of hope, a sense like something that happened, something good. The issue of the super bond, something that people never thought that could have been done, that we could have looked at these, I say, you know, these tough bondholders and looked them in the face and say, well, this is the best we could do. Take that or what you're going to do. But it takes determination, it takes discipline, it takes hard work, and to have a team that's working together, and that is what is making a big difference.
Do you believe, and I know we've got these questions coming up shortly, but at the onset of the election, when you guys won, and you started to build your cabinet, you started to put people in place, there were a lot of criticism from the Belizean public. Do you believe that, indeed,
Really?
social media, oh man, you're putting this person in place, that person in place? So
You're talking about the CEOs, not the ministers.
There were a lot of that, and now it seems to be at a calm. Do you believe that at this particular point, people are actually believing now that the country is rebounding?
Well, the first thing I decided is that you cannot govern by social media. It takes 10 persons, or 15 or 20, 50, 100 persons to create a storm in social media and say, oh my God, the world is coming to an end. But it's not. You have to keep focused. You have to do what is right. And in my mind, the ministries that we were setting up and the ministers that we were putting in charge of these ministries, I felt it was the right thing. And then when it came to the issues of the CEOs that we were picking, I believe that are people with the right temperament, with the right experience, with the intelligence, with the discipline, and also with the loyalty to the government. It's important that your CEOs are fully, that they are disciples of what you want to do, that they are going to ensure that Plan Belize is going to be put into action to the best of their abilities, and that's what we're looking, and that's what we did.
Let me shift gears now. There's a lot to unpack from all you've already said, especially with the focus on the economy and other issues. But I think everybody woke up this morning with one thing on their mind, as it has been since the start of 2020, the handling of the COVID-19 pandemic. In your campaign, your administration has clearly said you would be guided by science. Yesterday, there were over 300 new cases reported in the country. Do you believe that enough has been done to get this pandemic under control?
Sorry?
Do you believe that enough has been done to get the pandemic under control?
We're doing everything that we can possibly do to keep this under control. Remember, when COVID-19 started off with, it was the Alpha, it was contagious, but it was nowhere close as contagious as the Delta that we're dealing with. This is by far more contagious. So when you take that into consideration, then obviously we are doing a pretty good job. I mean, we had a meeting with the COVID advisory group. 3 of the members, 3 doctors came to cabinet. I asked the Minister of Health to bring them in so that they could explain to us better. And they looked at us and said, guys, don't be beating up yourselves. We're not doing a bad job. We're doing a pretty decent job in the controlling of the Delta variant of COVID-19. But short of locking up everybody, this is as best as we can do. Now we know that we can't live in a bubble. We can't lock up the entire country. We tried on 2 Sundays and it dipped a little bit. So we're starting to see the signs that is going to go down, and we're going to, by the end of the month, we expect to see it starting to go down some more. But the point is that we could lock up, for 2 weeks and slow down. But the minute we open the doors again and start to move around, and we're not careful, and we will not be careful, Belizeans by general, or humans by general, it will start to spread again. And it will spread just as quickly if we are not careful. So it comes to the basics. Social distance, wear masks, wash your hands, and then get bloody vaccinated. Get vaccinated. I mean, that's it. It's not rocket science. So we have been following the science as best as we possibly can. But we also have to have that balance between the science and also people's livelihoods. People need to work. If they don't work, they can't eat. And the previous government had the luxury of taking all the loans that were coming in and use it to give away and to in effect splurge. And we can't continue because we simply don't have that luxury.
This delicate balance of the economic health versus the physical health of the nation when it comes to COVID-19 has been a part of what I would imagine is a great challenge in your decision making. You mentioned you met with the advisory task force. They also put forward some recommendations.
They did.
What were those recommendations, and
we accepted pretty much most of the recommendations. What we did know for the first time, and honestly, this is where the Ministry of Health wasn't really on mark, because they would come 1 week and would tell you, okay, this is the position and this is what we're recommending, and we generally take most of it. And then 2 weeks later, come back again, oh, we have to change, and we've always been saying, the people in the business community need certainty. They need to be able to plan. And especially in tourism, that when people are booking, they book 2-3 months ahead of time. So you can't be one day to do this, next day to do that. So now this time they came with a 3-month plan. And we accepted pretty much what they did. They're saying, we first, for the month of October, we want to then to go down the positivity rate below 10%. And so we removed the no movement Sundays. So, and basically would say to people, because we're starting to see the numbers starting to go down, is to be able to then have the BPOs only at 50%. The churches, well, whilst they were not recommending opening up churches, we agreed then that we're going to open the churches at 50%, but for people that are fully vaccinated. And in this case, what we're saying, instead of going to a house of worship and want to give a ticket to everybody, who are the pastors responsible for that? And I've met with some pastors. I met with the 2 evangelical groups, and I explained that to them. I said, no, we'll be happy to do that because we want to open up. Or go on an open field, football field, and everybody will space out, and that kind of stuff. So we have accepted them, and then moved the curfew to 9 o'clock. Once we get it under 10%, and we expect to get that by the end of this month, next month then increase the curfew hours then to 10 o'clock. To start now to have some contact sports, because right now we don't accept. We will have competitive contact sports starting the 20th of October because of an appeal from the Minister of Sports. Our own people need to play.
Yeah, well, our rugby team is trying to prepare
yes,
for
and so we're working on that. But they have to be fully vaccinated.
Prime Minister, if I could just interject there, because I know people at home are scratching their heads saying, how do you see numbers going down? Let's just use Monday and Tuesday. On Monday, the weekend report was over 400. Yesterday's report was 300. On average, that means over the weekend, it was 200 a day. It's an increase to 321. So when you say to the public the numbers are going down,
no, I said,
what data are you using?
I'm using it is the data that they give us, and they're saying they're starting to see a slight trend. It's not like one day that 300 and 299, then no, it's going to be up, but you're starting to eventually start to see the trend that is going down. And from their projections, from what they're starting to see, they're saying we're starting to see one slight decrease, and they believe that if we continue to do what they've recommended, the curfews and insisting that people get vaccinated and the social distancing and everything, they are starting to see starting to go down slightly. But if we continue to hold tight as what we're doing right now, they believe that we could get below 10% by the end of this month.
Yeah, for the positivity rate.
Yes, the positivity rate.
Okay.
And then in November, then to increase the cut down on the curfew hours, then to go to 10 o'clock, and then 11 o'clock on the weekends. Again, but continue with what we've been doing. And they believe then by the end of November, we should be at 10%, 5% or below. And then hopefully if we can get that, then for Christmas, we're looking at curfew at 11 and then weekends at 12 o'clock. And then by the end of the year, then we expect then to open the borders for land borders for people that are fully vaccinated. But yet but we know that once you go across and for more than 72 hours, then you'd have to take a rapid test when you're coming back.
As per the
As
rules
per
for coming
what
back
is being
into the
done, yes.
country. This is interesting. So, but of course, as you're saying, I hear very clearly, this is
based on the
going
positivity
rate.
that it's
so
going
if we
down.
hit 10% by the end of this month, 5% at the end of
Talk
November.
about 5%, yes.
So that
And
is,
those are the projections from the Ministry of Health. Those are the projections. They believe that from what they're seeing, that is what we'll be able to get. But it is important to tell people, to let our citizens understand, continue wear your mask or get vaccinated.
let me come back to one of the things you said earlier. You said that you had wanted a more definitive plan. You finally got a 3-month plan that you're speaking of now. Now, I'm sure you are aware that the opposition has come out speaking against the handling of COVID-19 and has in fact called, well, you've been in the opposition seat. It's what is expected.
Yeah.
But the question is, they're saying that they feel that the leadership of the Ministry of Health is the problem and that it needs to change. How do you respond to that?
That they're hypocrites. Because look at their record of what happened under their watch. When it was found out that Pablo Marin had a few $1 million worth of medicines hidden at by the airport in some containers that have been expired under his watch, they never fired Pablo Marin. When it was found out that here we were telling them that we need to get people tested back then, Pablo Marin decided that they now test people. When only one person decided who was going to get tested, they did not fire Pablo Marin. What is it that we're doing? We said the one we have to follow the science, and that we have to test people and then get vaccinated. The UDP, when they were in government, did about around 30,000 tests total from April to early November. Do you realize that we've done almost 250,000 tests? We've been testing people. That if you feel that you're sick, you could go now to the hospital and they test you free of cost. And now, yesterday, we spoke, the minister came with a decentralized plan now to have more testing sites that you can go and get tested by government free of cost. And that we're looking now to probably even start that pharmacists then will be able to go and get tested. You don't need a doctor to test you. It's a simple process. So that is what they did. This is what we're doing. You realize that they only have made arrangements for 100,000 vaccines. That's all they arranged, and they never pay for it. We had to pay for it. Under our efforts, in a short time, we have enough vaccines right now to vaccinate every person from the age 12 to 100 years. And a lot of it is because of what we call the vaccines diplomacy. Basically, we go and beg them people and say, listen, we don't have the money, help us.
Yeah,
the Americans have helped us. We have the Pfizer, we have the AstraZeneca, we even had the Chinese one, we got about 10,000 of those. We have the Johnson & Johnson. So we even tell people, okay, pick which one you want, just go and get vaccinated. Yeah. So how dare them talk about wanting to, we're supposed to fire? Look at what we're doing. Listen, you know that we have the second highest vaccination rate in the region? We have now vaccinated over 202,000 Belizeans have gotten their first dose, which is close to 50%. If you were to remove the people the kids under the age of 12 to 0, we would be at over 60% that have gotten one. And the second dose, I think it was about 138,000 that have already gotten. So we're moving in the right direction. I wish you could have go faster.
Why did you shift away from the mandate, the stricter mandates when it came to vaccination?
Well,
the first announcement was all buildings.
Right. Because I don't think we'd have been ready. And I'll lock up everybody. I mean, we would not have been ready with those stricter mandates. And also then you do trial balloons and see how people will react and see what happens. But we will have, by the end of this year, one of the recommendations is that all the frontline workers will have to be vaccinated. And this people go and get tests and come back, and no, you have to be vaccinated to be able to go into the workplace, to go into the restaurants. As it is right now, restaurants are open inside. Dining is 50%, but they must be vaccinated. And
I'm sure you know
outside,
the tourism sector is concerned about this issue.
Well, I'm sorry about that, but they have to. When you go to the United States and you go to a restaurant, you have to be vaccinated. You have to show you have to show your card, or else you can't go in. Bolsonaro, the president from Brazil, they refused his entrance into a restaurant. Actually, they had a picture of him eating pizza on the street side. So, if the tourists back home in the United States have to be vaccinated to go into a restaurant, why should we make it any different right here? We want them to come, but we want them to be safe. And for them to be safe is that they have to be vaccinated. There's no argument over that.
So I want to shift, because there's a lot to cover in such a little time. You spoke of what is very promising in terms of our vaccination rate to the region. Where we are not faring off well is in our mortality rate. The number of persons who are dying, this brings me back to the presentation that was made to Cabinet. I noted that Dr. Andres Sosa was there as a part of your task force, and he is also the head of the KHMH, where you know that they are struggling in being able to keep up with the number of hospitalized persons with the necessary human resources and financial resources. Is there a plan to intervene and assist there?
Well, that is nothing new to Carl Hughes. That is happening all over the world.
But now it's under your watch.
It's not something new under the that's happening just to Carl Hughes. Everywhere in the world, you see that. And we have been doing everything that we can to be able to keep up with the demands. All of the overtime that the nurses and doctors, well, we paid it. It was over a few $1 million. We've paid it. And now that they're reaching to that point, and then we have to make the necessary resources available, we will. We have to. We have no choice. So I would just want to assure the Belizean public that we will do everything that we can to be able to have the necessary services, the equipment, the medicines, and the people available to look after them. But in the more, one thing we have to do is get vaccinated. If you get vaccinated, you're not going to get very sick. Of the people that are dying, over about 85% are people that are not vaccinated. Now, yes, there are a few that have been vaccinated and are dying, and it's simply because of the lifestyle that we have. We are terrible eaters. I mean, the fried chicken that we eat and all the starch that we eat, the rice and so forth, and the bread, and no, it's not necessarily good for us. And then we don't exercise, I mean, shucks, you could walk on the street and exercise, but we don't do that. And we have to move away from that. And unfortunately, I mean, this is happening, but maybe a good thing can come from that it can make us more conscious about living a healthier lifestyle and just sit down and watch TV. Go and take a walk, go and walk with your children, with your wife, and so forth.
What's been what's the plan moving forward to encourage more people to get vaccinated?
Well,
I hear your frustration.
Short of
obviously
pulling him out from the house and say, "Hold your way and jab you." I mean, but seriously, though, what we're doing is, again, we're asking all the representatives. All of us have a pretty good political machinery for elections to try to translate that in our constituencies. I think Fort George is, over the weekend, I think, did the same thing, and I think they had about 600 persons getting vaccinated. Okay. We are planning one, and the rest of the representatives are planning, so that we can then partner with the Ministry of Health. Yeah. More and more businesses are starting to partner. They're calling in health to come to their business place and get people vaccinated. I know I was speaking to some of the banana the owners of some banana farms also. They're saying they have brought Ministry of Health to go to their place and get people vaccinated. The private sector also has to play a critical role. If the private sector was to start to, like for instance, what we did in our business at One Stop and Center, We just tell people, listen, everybody have to get vaccinated.
Yeah.
You know, and there was one person that was holding out, and every time Jaime would be telling this person, you don't get vaccinated, no, you don't get, and just they're behind him, till finally they got vaccinated. So the business community could play a very important role. If the business community will tell their employees, listen, I'm sorry, but if you don't get vaccinated, you can't come to work, more and more people get vaccinated. I'll give you a simple example, and I shouldn't be talking about, but I will say it. My father-in-law did not want to get vaccinated. As much as we begged him, and he felt, no, he's a very religious person. Finally, Rosanna told him, I said, listen, we have a granddaughter that's 7 months old. He says, so if you don't want to get vaccinated, okay, I want to respect you, but you can't come to my house because I don't want you to get my granddaughter sick, or we get you sick and you're not vaccinated, and then we feel guilty.
Yeah.
And last week, thank God, he decided that he ain't going to get vaccinated, so he's going to take a first job. But those are the tough decisions we have to make, not only as business, but as family.
Are all your representatives vaccinated?
The last time I checked, yes. I know Honorable Marconi, Leal, has not gotten vaccinated now because, he got sick with COVID. And honestly, I couldn't believe it. They don't get vaccinated. Or they tell people get vaccinated. But now he has to wait, I think, I don't know, 90 days or 6 months to be able to get vaccinated. But I think pretty much everybody is vaccinated.
And with respect to vaccinations, all around the world, they're actually talking now about booster shots. Is that conversation happening with the ministry?
Well, yes, but remember now the booster shots they're talking about right now. I think in the United States, the FDA pretty much did not really agree to the booster shots at the moment. And so they're just giving it to people that are really sick or people that are old that they may have, they may need a booster shot. So we have not started the discussion on booster shots as yet, but certainly something in the back of our minds that we have to start to prepare, that should we need booster shots, then we have to see how we're going to be able to get these booster shots.
Now, I wanna. There's a lot more we can talk about with COVID-19. I guess just one final question, based on what you have been, what has been reported to you. Are you imagining that come 2022, the country will be over this phase of the pandemic?
I don't think you're going to get over COVID-19 right now. It will be some time. It's something. I remember. I think I was among the first persons. I remember telling the then Prime Minister, I said, listen, we need to learn to live with COVID. It's not going to go away. And unfortunately, that's going to happen. From what I'm told, and I'm no scientist, but they believe that then eventually COVID is going to become like a common cold. They're already taking out a pill that, that you could take it and will help you. It doesn't mean you should not go get vaccinated. But we just have to learn to live with it. Certainly 2022 is going to be around us.
I do hope we're looking at our options as how we can access the treatment once it's approved. But moving forward from the pandemic to the other epidemic that we have been facing for a long time, and that is crime.
Yes.
You released a pre-recorded statement once the high school teenager Dwayne Gabriel was murdered in what was a case that I think gripped everybody's hearts across this country. I want to make note of the fact that, of course, this is one story among many, and we are not able to get a handle on this situation, and the root causes are escalating. Not having jobs, people living in poverty, a number of different social issues that are yet to be addressed that can actually help to curb the crime situation. What's being done?
I think that I just can't imagine the anguish that their families go through.
Yeah.
I mean, I have an 18-year-old. I don't know what would I do if something like that were to happen to him, honestly. And I see that with full sincerity that you feel for these people.
Yeah.
And then in this case, we're doing, from the pictures that you see, the video that you see, this was a good young man that would have been that would have been a productive citizen of this country. And then, you know, then just you get on call aid and just shoot your son. I mean, I just, there's just no words that I could express. Yeah. But it angers me. It gets me, I mean, it just gets you so upset that you don't want to go after these guys and just go after them, you know, and whilst that may be a short-term solution, that's not a long-term solution. And we have to address, there's so many aspects of it, of the issue of crime. And yes, the easiest one to do is to point at government, okay, what are they doing? But we don't look in the mirror. We don't look in the mirror that we have become terrible parents. I mean, my mother come from a very poor family. I mean, she's no longer with us, but a very, very poor family. And I remember she telling me when she was a little girl, when 12 o'clock give, and if she didn't have a friend to play, she cannot eat at that house. She have to come to the house to eat. Because if you go eat at the neighbor, he said, my mother that time, my grandmother said, would whip her. It's like, you know, eat, you can eat right there. The only 30 we have, that's what we're going to eat. That kind of discipline and pride, and so we've lost that. When you see your child, they bring on bicycle, and you never buy a bicycle for your child, you know, ask the right questions. We have become bad parents. And I know I'm getting in trouble for saying it, but this is the truth. As a government, there's only so much we can do. But until we could get the families involved to say, you know what, enough is enough. I want to make sure that my child come home every night. I want to make sure they do homework. And I know immediately people tell, oh, but we don't got money when I go work. There have been always poverty in this country. And we never had that kind of violence. Yeah. But no, if you allow me now, what is it that we're doing? Well, I don't think you expect us to solve it in 9 months.
No, but we do want to know the strategy.
Okay, yeah. What is the strategy? Now, we know that the pockets of the violence is in certain pockets, and the most troublesome one is outside of Belize City. The ministries of national security, ministries of home affairs, human development, sports, and I think those are the three main, and education, yes, sorry, and education, got together and came up with a plan to cabinet. And basically, there are a number of things, and we haven't finished because we said, look, we tweak it some more. Basically, what we want to do now is to declare the South Side a special development area. And by declaring the special development area, we want to pass a simple piece of legislation that then would allow us to encourage business people to go in and invest in the South Side and to be able to create jobs and give them certain incentives. That is one thing. Secondly, though, the kids, we have to keep them in school. And we've already announced, Minister Fonseca has said, let's use this outside as a pilot project for the free education program. Yeah. We can't do it countrywide right now because of financial constraints, but we could find the money to at least go in that area. And if we have to go house to house and ensure that all the kids go to school, we're going to be able to do that. From the Ministry of Youth and Sports, Kevin has been coming up with some programs where we're going to be meeting with these young men and women and talking to them and mentoring them and trying to get them to go to school and help them to be able to get a job. Through the human development, again, we're looking at seeing how we can provide some sort of counseling, that we can provide some kind of food program for them, so that at least they could start to have food for the time being. We're looking at also to go into that division, into that area and clean it out, partnering with the city council and just go and all of those derelict vehicles and so forth, just pick it up and take it to dump site and throw it away, because we can't have people just left their old cars on the side and then want to do it. So we want to clean up the south side. And also we're looking at all of those abandoned lots in the south side, especially in the Mesopotamia area, the Queen Square area, where we have so many people that have left and went to the US and left there, abandoned there. The people have no interest in coming back to Belize. They are abandoned, they're overgrown, you know, got just junk in those yards. We are going to clean up those lots, and we're going to acquire those lands. And we're going to do two things with those lands. We want build some small, decent homes for families, single mothers and so forth, and that they can live in. And some of them we want to convert into small playgrounds and parks for the south side. So we want to give it and to uplift the south side. And that's the first step. Fighting crime is not going to be overnight. It's going to be a long process, but we do have a plan now that is, we hope to be able to, at the next House meeting, I hope we'll be able to have that ready to make the presentation at the National Assembly. So we do have a plan, and we're starting to work on it. Kevin, as the Minister Bernard, has been very active. He has been going to the prison and meeting with some of these young guys and talking to them and trying to see what they could do. We just can't throw a hand up. Have to be fighting and saying that we don't give up.
This issue takes an immense amount of political will.
It does take a political for saying acquire all of those lots.
And it's not the kind of achievement that can be added to a campaign flyer come election time.
But it's not about campaign.
No, I'm just saying that historically, investing in fighting these types of social issues, they aren't politically savvy. It's easy to talk about streets, and it is to talk about one family's life that is changed, or one child that has been saved from poverty or crime. What is, I mean, when I
but
see
to me,
this
that is
sense
more
of,
important.
I agree. As a citizen of this country, I agree. When I see the level of emotion that you displayed at the thought of doing Gabriel, what is the long-term commitment that you have to this? Finances are limited, and the ideas that you have, in hearing them now, sound wonderful. But the money to be able to pay for it is where it's really going to matter. Whether it'll come from government, whether you'll seek loans, whether, I mean, is there a plan as to how you will fund this strategy?
Let's put it this way, no? It is cheaper to find that money right now to be able to put these programs into place, to be able to protect and save these kids, than to not do it. And 10 years and 15 and 20 years from now, we're going to be crying out and say, what the hell that we've done? Why did we not do it? It's been so much cheaper. So to find the money, it's not I'm saying that we're rolling in money, of course not. But we just have to find, there are certain things that we just have to do. And this is one of them. You see, once we could break the backs of these gangs, that's the big part of it, that we break them. And then that can give us an opportunity to be able to work with these kids. As I'm told, somebody was telling me, even some of the older gang leaders are saying, you know, these younger kids are getting off to control, you know, control them because they're out there and kids, they shoot kids, you know. The guy that was being accused of shooting, of killing young Dwayne was probably about 4 years old when the UDP came in. You had the most powerful ministers in government for the past 13 years living, representing the South Side, and they did shit for them. Sorry. They did nothing. They had over $500 million from Petrocaribe, and then just roll it and play with it and use it for politics, and did not do nothing for the poor people in the south side of Belize City. I mean, the blame lays on their feet that they did nothing. They had this so-called Southside Poverty Alleviation Program, and they did nothing with it. And that kind of thing have to stop. This is not about politics. This is about people's lives. This is about people's lives. Listen, I could easily come to you and tell you, listen, Orange Walk Central was punished for 13 years because we voted PUP. And I could say, well, now I'm the Prime Minister, now I have to use resources and put it in Orange Walk Central. As the South Side, they get a lot of money was spent in Belize City. But we can't do that. It's about people's lives.
Yeah.
And we have to do something, and we will do something about it. And I can't promise you that we can save it, we can change things around in 1 year, nor 2 years, nor 3 years, nor 4 years. This is something they're making for 20, 25, 30 years it started. It will take some time. But what I could assure you, and what I could promise you, that we are going to do our part. But we need to get also know the families involved. I remember, I'll give a quick joke. I remember my youngest son at the time just joking to him, say, that's what you do if I were to shoot somebody. Kill somebody. Kids, when he was a little boy. I said, so you do? I said, well, I said, you're going to jail. I said, I will still love you, but you're going to jail because I can't do nothing for you, and that is where you belong. And that is the attitude you have to take as parents, man. If your child, your kid do something wrong, it don't mean you stop loving, but your child have to understand that he or she did something wrong and must be held accountable for their behavior.
All right. Well, Prime Minister, we have you for an extended period. So what we're going to do is that we're going to take a commercial break, and when we come back, we continue to have this chit-chat with the Prime Minister of Belize, the Honorable John Briceño. Stay with us. We'll be back.
Working off-site doesn't mean you have to be off your game. Studies have shown that simply adding a keyboard and mouse to your laptop increases productivity by 26%. Add a monitor, and you'll be 35% more productive. At Fulltech Systems, we have what you need to enhance your remote work or e-learning experience. With devices such as headsets, video conferencing monitors, webcams, keyboards, mice, docking stations, all with the brands you trust. Keep connected with collaboration tools like Microsoft 365 Suite and Kaspersky and perform efficiently no matter where you are. Fulltech Systems, your technology center, where you'll come for the price, but stay for the service.
We have been a partner with Smart for over 10 plus years. We have a full Smart plan we use as our major driver for our business. We have a service that rolls over in that if you call one and it is busy, it rolls over to the next line. So once you call us, you can get us at any time. Before we got this Smart service, we were paying upwards of nearly $2,000 in phone bills. Since we've had our Smart service, we pay an average of about $600. So we've had tremendous saving, more than 50%. For the businesses, if you want to save money, switch to Smart because it is far more cost effective and the service is excellent.
Smart continues to be innovative in bringing new technology and meaningful savings during these challenging times to businesses across Belize. Sign up for our VoIP technology or broadband packages and save more.
My name is Dr. Gabriela Guerra. I am the wife of Dr. Kevin Rafael Guerra and sister-in-law of Dr. Kenneth Raul Guerra. Both of them passed due to COVID complications on December of 2020. My husband was the first one lose this battle on December 12th, and 18 hours later, my brother-in-law Kenneth passed away also. My husband and my brother-in-law, they was a troublemakers, double trouble. They had a lot of friends there and make a jokes and everything every time. They never take us seriously, nothing. They was very generous people, very compromised with their career. We share a lot of good times and memories that actually fill my my heart, no? And I live from my memories and the time we share together. The worst thing about lose a loved one, no, due to the COVID is your loved one be alone, admitted at a hospital without you, without your cares. You can say bye, you can give the last kiss, you can give the last hug, and that's very painful. I think that's the worst thing. I miss the guy shared with me 12 years of my life, the best ones. I miss my son's father, the guy who played with my son every time and tried to teach football techniques to my son. For the ones maybe out there say the COVID not real, okay? Or pain. And the pain for everyone who lose a loved one. It's real, okay? The struggle is real. If my husband or my brother-in-law, they maybe at that time could have the opportunity to get the vaccine, they will not have a problem to say, I will get it, okay? I will get my vaccine. So if you have this opportunity, take it. I hope my testimony helped to change something in your mind. And probably take the best decision the next time when the doctor asks to you if you want to take your vaccine. If you don't want to do it for yourself, try to do it for your family, okay? To be safe, for your country.
Cumpleaños feliz, te deseamos a ti.
Hey son, how was your first day at sixth form?
Really cool. It was great to see my friends, and I really love my teachers.
I'm so happy to hear that. I'm sorry I wasn't there for your first day, but I'll be back from Corozal next week.
It's okay, Dad. I can't wait to see you. Oh, and please remember, I still have some books I need to purchase.
Ah, yes. Let me e-cash you that right now. Money has been sent. I add a little extra cash just for you.
Whoa, Dad. Thanks. Got it.
You're welcome, sir.
Download the eCash app today and take your first step into a cashless lifestyle. For more information, visit www.e-cash.com or contact us via WhatsApp at 613-0257. eCash, the future is here.
Bringing people together has always been SMART's mission and passion. That is why we are proud to have built a locally independent quality network from the ground up that spans the country with over 100 sites. We continue to add more affordable mobile data packages, broadband speeds, and voice services to meet your personal and business needs. SMART has set the standard of true competition with the most competitive prices on all services offered. We invite and welcome you to join the SMART family, where the value for your dollar matters. SMART will continue bringing new technologies, more affordable prices, network expansions, and people together. SMART, bringing people together.
And we're back. Welcome back to Open Your Eyes, and we're moving into our extended conversation with the Prime Minister, Honorable John Briceño, as he continued to break down the nation's issue. Now, Prime Minister, we've been having a lot of conversation primarily about COVID. Secondary, we spoke about crime. And we believe now that one of the things that needs to be addressed, of course, is the state of the nation's economy. Where are we at this point with the nation's economy? Our borders are closed. we've got homegrown tourism continues to happen, especially if there's a long weekend. Where are we at this point with respect to our economy?
Well, the economy is not where we want it to be, but it is much better than what most people expect it to be. That's the best way to put it. I mean, our first quarter, we still had a contraction. We still had, there was negative growth, well, let's put it that way. But the negative growth was less than the previous one under the UDP. But our second quarter, we saw a big jump in the growth of the economy. We had a growth rate of over 22%. And for the first time, we had agriculture leading the growth, something that has never happened in more than 20 years. And we have to give credit to Minister Mai, who have been aggressively pushing our products, cattle and pork, chicken, eggs, vegetables, everything that we could produce. As what he mentioned, this is the first year that our vegetable farmers had the best crop ever, because when we have tomatoes, you can't import tomatoes, you're going to eat our local tomatoes. So the economy in agriculture is going very well. Through his efforts and my efforts when we went to Mexico, we managed now to get the Mexicans to accept the exportation of shrimp into Mexico. When my meeting with President Andres Lopez Obrador, we spoke about exporting our cattle into Mexico, and if they could remove the taxes on the cattle. And he said that he pretty much agreed to it. He said, but he pass it on now to the Ministry of Finance to take a look at that. So by doing those things, then we'll be able to export even more and get even better price for our products. Abby is going to El Salvador today to be able to see how we could open markets over there to sell our products into El Salvador. And he pointed out now that we have a bumper crop for corn. That the corn, whilst the United States and Brazil had bad crops, the Belize has a bumper crop, so we have record numbers of corn that then we'll be able to sell into Guatemala and, well, to a small amount to our local market. So agriculture is on the rebound, and we're doing what we have to do. We had agreed to now invest $15 million into citrus, not only for the big farmers, but even for the small farmers, so that then we could increase the production. When we left government, we were producing about 8 million boxes of citrus. That has gone on to about 1.5 million boxes. With this investment, we see that within 5 years, we're going to be at 5 million boxes. So we are doing the right investments where it is needed. Tourism, again, Minister Mala, he knows the tourism industry inside out. So as soon as he got in, he put his team together. We had to put a new person at the head of BTB because we felt that the previous person there wasn't doing much. So we had to put somebody else prepared to work and has a vision and has a plan and believes in Plan Belize. And that's what we've been doing. And so tourism, by October, we were about 85% of 2019 numbers. And we hope if we could continue to hold it, it dipped a bit because of one, COVID numbers, yes, but also because August, September are the slow months. But we're starting to see the numbers. I was speaking to one of the people in the airline business, local airline, and he was telling me his numbers are already starting to go up, his reservations for November, December. The cruise ships, last week we had three of them. I think today we'll probably have another 3 of them. And so we're having more and more cruise ships. More airlines are coming in. More airlines want to come into to Belize. So again, we're going in the right direction. And so tourism has been increasing. The BPO industry, the call centers, that is growing extremely fast. Again, it is because of the plans that we have and the discipline to execute our plans. So I am seeing a bright future when it comes to the economy, that we're moving in the right direction in what is it that we have to do, and we're prepared to put the money where it is necessary to be able to get these investments going.
When we reflect on your economic recovery plan, these were part of the markers. And I want to talk about the Blue Bond, but before we get there, it meant a collective sacrifice on behalf of your the public servants and the teachers. And if we go back in not too distant past, we saw the uprising from the unions, and even up to today, every financial decision that is made, people say, is that what you're doing with my 10%? A part of the agreement with the unions was to meet periodically to review the finances. Has that happened yet? And what is the prediction in being able to get public servants and teachers back on full salary?
Well, first of all, I think we cannot forget the incredible sacrifice that our public service and teachers are doing by taking a 10% cut. I know in many people's mind they're saying, well, I get a 50% cut. Others saying, well, I lose my job. But still 10% is considerable. And we certainly appreciate what they have done. It wasn't easy. I'm not saying that they were happy, oh, let me sign and move. No, it took a lot of work, a lot of back and forth and discussions and consultations, and to be able to convince them that what we were doing was the right thing to do. We cut expenses by about 20%. So again, to show that sacrifice that they have done, along with the sacrifice that we as ministers have done, allowed us to be able to do a number of things. For instance, the IMF then said, okay, it seems that it's serious what you're doing, your homegrown plan. So they gave their stamp of approval. By giving that stamp of approval, a number of things happened. We'll talk some more about it.
Yes.
It allowed us to be able to renegotiate the super bond.
Yes.
We're receiving about $500 million. So we've done that. One of the things that we promised and that we've agreed to do with the unions is to meet with them and with the social partners, not only unions, our social partners. Every 6 months we're going to meet with them and to show them, okay, this is where we are. This is the performance of the economy and the budget. And if they have any recommendations, okay, we will listen to them. But at the end of the day, we were elected to govern. We have a responsibility to the Belizean people. We answer to the Belizean people. So I say this to point out that they are our partners, but our boss really are all of you, including the unions and everybody else, because this is who we answer to. So we hope, we will have our first meeting before the end of this month. I've just been talking to Minister Koi, who is putting together the numbers along with the affairs and central bank so that we can do that presentation to them.
I mean, when you think of especially your public servants who you work with and interact with on a daily basis, they're part of the executors of whatever plans that you put in place. I'm sure you hear their concerns and questions about when they can imagine being back on full salary. And it's kind of a double-edged sword. If you speak about progress in building the economy, it lends one to believe that that means they don't have to sacrifice anymore.
Well, this is something that's not going to go disappear overnight. I mean, I wish I could tell them, and I can tell everybody. And this has been a principle that I always use in my campaign. When people ask me something, I said, listen, I could lie to you or I could tell you the truth, what you want. And I always felt it's better I tell you the truth, and you get upset with me for a short while, but not when I lie to you and I lie, then they dislike you, and I've been telling that to a number of my previous colleagues. So the truth is that I wish I could tell them, okay, we could give back your salary and all of that tomorrow. The reality is that we can't, because we're still not out of this deep economic hole that we were we received. The UDP left for us. So there's a number of things that we have to do. The economy is still not fully there. We have to get it going more. We are hoping, or we're aiming to have growth of 5% per year, per annum. And that's something that you don't see. But you only can do that if you continue to remain focused in how is it that you're going to get that. Fixing some of our ministries, making sure that that their investment can move smoothly. We're working on, for instance, making investment in Belize easier so that you have less processes, less stops or steps that you have to take. But at the same time, still not forgetting that you have to cross the T's and dot the I's, I mean, which is also very important. So we've been doing a number of things all at the same time to ensure that we can continue to keep this kind of growth that we need.
Yeah, speaking of investment, are you finding, or do you find that investors find Belize to be one of the ripest places for investment, especially with respect to what, or not necessarily how the economy is, but our laws and bylaws and whatnot?
Yes, Belize is one of the places people see most for investing in Latin America. And why they do that? Whilst we don't have a big market, they see certain things. And one of the most important things that we take for granted is our laws and our courts. Our courts are still fairly free from a lot of political interference. There was the previous government, we all know that. But generally, if you have a contract, that you can go to court and get it enforced. I mean, the best example is when with BTL, the BTL saga, where the UDP illegally nationalized BTL, and the owners, they went to court, and yes, they lost here, they lost in the Court of Appeals, but they won where the government has no where the government cannot put undue influence on that court. And so that goes to show that the court system in Belize works. And that is one of the most important things for business people. Not so much that you could give them a development concession. Most countries give that. But they want to see that the courts are working. They want to see the kind of people that we are. And we are generally fair, happy, easy to get along people. We're not difficult to deal with, and people see that. And then, of course, then they see what the government is doing, and they're seeing that we are a government that's serious when it comes to the economy and to investing in Belize. And so we're starting to already see some of the benefits of what we're doing.
Let me just go back very quickly to the court. I know that you're in the process of, one of the challenges in the justice system is the backlog that exists and how slow it takes for things to be processed. The Attorney General had already made us aware that in fact there are moves to get new judges. You've written to the opposition leader. What's the status of that?
I spoke to the opposition leader, and yesterday he had a few questions, which I answered. And the point is that what we did is that she reached out to the Commonwealth Secretariat to see if they can help us. And through her efforts, the Commonwealth Secretariat is helping us with 4 judges for 1 year. And what they're going to come to do is to be able to try to clean up the backlog. And yes, whilst they are going to be paying their salaries, obviously we have to pay their homes, their houses where they stay, their vehicles, etc., that once they're here. I know the opposition had a concern about why we're not getting Belizean lawyers, and why is it only 1 year? Why we're not getting the Belizean lawyers at this time, because we're getting these that are coming in to help us with the backlog. And secondly, that it's only for 1 year, because well, they're going only to be for 1 year, and then after that they leave. So I answered his questions yesterday over the phone, and he promised that he was going to write a no objection.
It's an interim solution to be able to help to clear up.
Just to clear up, and then, but we're also then at the same time starting to work on getting more judges permanently on the bench.
Let's turn to what I know the government has been speaking about quite often, most often, the success of the blue bond, the buyback of the super bond and transition to the blue bond. Prime Minister, let me just get your reaction, because while I know there was a lot of public conversations about putting the offer out, there was never certainty.
You're saying
here.
skepticism.
Yeah, there was never certainty.
You still have certain people that are saying, well, it still not happen.
Well, there is never certainty until it's over. And there is still the final agreement.
But do you know that Moody's gave us a rating, the blue bonds, a rating of AA2? That's the 3rd highest ratings that you can give. That's the certainty that they have on the bond, which is very good for Belize.
I want to bring back just the history, though, because when you first entered when you took over the administration, you said you wanted a haircut, and very immediately we heard from bondholders that they were not interested in giving any form of haircut. In fact, they were pushing for the country to subscribe to an IMF program. And then the government found another avenue, this blue bond structure. Tell us a bit about it. And especially let's talk about the fact that the UDP is saying they were the ones who started with this idea.
Oh my God. The UDP don't have the fortitude, nor the intelligence, nor the discipline to get something like this done. Because I remember from about 2015, the last two renegotiations with the bond or refinancing of the bond, telling the Prime Minister then, I said, you need to get a haircut. You just go and kick the can down the road and say, oh, I saved money. Save money been costing us more money. I said, but you need to go to the bondholder and say, listen to me, I'm sorry, but I just can't pay. I don't have the money. So what, you lock me up? You know, and then show them a plan. You just can't go to people and say, well, I can't pay you, and then you splurge money and they spend money like you're crazy, like with Petrocaribe back then. Obviously, they're not going to take you seriously. This is a plan, the only way it was accomplished, there were a number of parts that had to be in place. The first of all is that we had to get a stamp of approval from the IMF on what we're doing. The UDP had no discipline in trying to come to a plan to the IMF and say, this is what we're doing. They never did that. So every year they had the same thing over and over from the IMF. And so when we started off, of course, the IMF would look at us skeptically and say, well, we've been hearing this stuff. But when they saw of the steps that we were taking to be able to try to put us to some set of fiscal sanity, okay, they said, okay, yeah, it seems that these guys are serious, and they put a stamp of approval.
And that included the cut in public wages and some
the cut of our expenses,
changes.
or the monies that we're doing. They're seeing how we're working with the economy, you know, a number of things that they saw that we put in place. That then made it easier to be able to negotiate with the bondholders. Because the bondholders, the first thing I want to tell you, you want to make I take one cut and you know they do nothing to help yourself. In this case, they saw what we're doing. They saw that we cut salaries. They thought we were never going to do that. They saw that we as ministers cut with salary. I don't have a government vehicle. I still use my private vehicle. And they saw that we cut government's expenses, and we're trying to hold on to the expense to the expenses of government as best as we can. And then they saw that we are also now working on how we can get the economy to bounce back as quickly as we possibly can. They saw all of these things had to be aligned. It's not about just going, oh, I want a haircut. And yes, then we had the right partner with the Nature Conservancy, which started the discussion with the UDP, but it was going nowhere. So they stopped. They figure these people and the UDP is not interested. You never hear they have any kind of discussion about this thing. And so they stopped. So they came to us and said, are you interested? And we said, of course we're interested. And then to provide the financing. And then what makes this even more exciting is that we're not only saving close to $500 million for the people of Belize, but we're also, of the new bonds, we're going to set aside almost $200 million into a conservation fund for the marine projects. It's a win-win. These bondholders, how could it be? It was difficult for them. For them to just say, well, no, we're not worried about that, because here we are, you're seeing a country that has too much debt, or the UDP left us a debt of GDP to about 135%. Let's not forget that, 135%. Our aim is that by the time we get out of government, and by the time we finish our term, this term, that we are going to be at about 85%. That is our goal. And we believe that we can do it, and we have a plan to do that. So when we went to them and said, well, we want to buy out, and this is what we could give. Personally, I was saying aiming for 50 cents on the dollar. We fought hard to try to get at 50 cents on the dollar. We came close to it, you know, when you look at the structure, because if you were to remove if we were paying the interest payments, it would have been at about 51 cents on the dollar.
Yeah.
But because we had to capitalize the interest that we just paid, it gone up to about 55 cents on the dollar. Basically, I tell them, like, listen, here's the money. Take this. And then how we're going to pay you? Because we're going to set up a new fund, a blue bond. And that blue bond, yes, we're going to pay back a large portion to the bondholders, but another substantial portion is going to go into conservation. So kind of help with to get this going. You know, Belize have the Barrier Reef, the Caribbean Sea. You know, it's so beautiful, it's so pristine. One of the few areas in the world that is what we have. So help with. And these hard-nosed bondholders eventually started to see what we're doing and what we're talking, and see that we were serious about what we're doing. And that is how that happened. Now, mind you, we are very grateful to the Nature Conservancy, to TNC, who helped to put the bond together. When I went to New York to meet for the General Assembly of the United Nations, I met with the president of TNC, the president of the World Wide Fund, and one of their main funders, Mr. Stans, to have a meeting with them. I mean, and they were very excited that we pulled this through, and then saw what we are doing. And I think what got them more excited was, I think you'll be the first, you probably are the first Prime Minister that was a Minister of Environment. Because when they were talking about these issues, I knew what you're talking. I could relate to them because I was doing it for 9 years. Yeah. And so it made it easy. And so now they're excited about that. And so that's why we're preparing now to go now to conference of the party, COP26 in Glasgow at the end of the month.
You'll be attending.
I'll be attending
at the World Leaders.
Yes, I will be attending, because again, we have to ensure that then we can get the finances for mitigation and adaptation to climate change. Yeah. Something that we did not create. We did not create this crisis. It's the developed countries. So now they need to put the money to be able to help us. They promise that they're going to help with $100 billion a year. Sounds like a lot, but it's not a lot. They only come up with about $26 billion, man. They're short of almost $75 billion. So now we have to put pressure on them. So it's important for me to go there. The point is that the success of the Blue Bond was simply, or the renegotiation and the payout of the super bond, was simply because we were doing the right things. Not because they may feel sorry for us, but because we did the right thing, something that the previous government could have never, ever do.
At what point are we going to have to start to make that payment to the bondholders?
Well, once we start off to the super bondholders,
yeah.
Okay, I think with the payout is going to be in November, by the middle of November. So the bonds are already being prepared, and people are probably will be buying, or the different institutions will probably be buying the bonds, and which people will be buying the bonds because they say, well, some of the money is going to conservation. So we're supposed to be paying them off, I think, somewhere in November. And then the idea is then for 9 years we're going to be paying interest, and then for the last 10 years, interest and principal.
Now, this is a significant achievement in terms of looking at the debt restructuring, but in the magnitude of debt that we face, it's basically a trim. There still is.
Well, I can't say trim when you're taking off 12% of your debt. I mean, it's a significant amount. But what is important, Marlene, is that then we have to grow the economy. Yeah. We can't keep the economy at the size it is. Yeah. So then as we grow the economy, then your debt to GDP starts to get smaller. And we have every confidence that we'll be able to do that.
Yes. Let me use the example that your Minister of State in Finance said. He said if we owed 10,000 per person before, now we owe 9,000.
Yes.
So that's the point.
We're going in the right direction. Yes, we're going in the right direction.
We are moving in the right direction, but I'm saying, so now that one accomplishment has been, you've been able to take that off your checklist, let's talk about how the plan to handle the rest of the debt that we have, in addition to growing the economy. We've seen moves from Taiwan for now to be able to help us get through the pandemic.
Yes, so they'll be able to do that. We have to look at at all the debt that we have and see what can be done, and where we can get debt forgiveness. We're going to go for it, and we're looking at the different options. I'm not in a position to be able to say this at this time because we're just starting the negotiations with the different banks and organizations. So we need to look at that.
Yeah.
But just that debt forgiveness is not going to be enough. It has to do with growing your economy.
Yeah.
You have to put the necessary resources in agriculture, in tourism, in the services sector to be able to grow your economy. So the bigger your economy grows, then the smaller that you owe for your debt
Yes.
to GDP, and then the taxes increase, your collections increase, then you have more money to be able to pay these debts. It's going to make it easier. That is why we're talking about the first time ever Belize is going to have an investment summit on the 11th and the 12th in San Pedro. And from the looks of it, from the interest that we're seeing from different people, we're looking at about $500 million of potential investment in Belize.
Wow.
I mean, there is interest. We, for instance, we were doing very little with Central America. The previous government didn't go to SICA meetings. The Prime Minister used to go to the meetings. I know that we're going, there's an excitement of seeing Belize getting involved. And we're meeting with business people. When I was in Mexico with Compramex, that's one of the largest associations for business associations in Mexico. You know, I met with the president and a few members of his board, and talking to them about Belize. They're saying several of them now they want to come to listen and come to for the investment summit. You know, and they're seeing that there can be opportunities for us, for them in Belize.
Markets that are easier to access and also more cost effective because of proximity.
And this is what I've been saying for years. Listen, we to try to go to Europe for selling products. We could walk pretty much to Chetomal and sell all the products that we have. We only need the Quintana Roo market, you know. That's all we need. I mean, they have, 10, 12, 15 million visitors a year that go into Cancun and the Riviera Maya.
Yeah.
And so they have to eat.
A lot of them are Belizeans too.
Yeah, well, we don't list. Please.
Well, I'm just saying, I know your business, the business community has been saying, you know, it's a good thing that they get to keep some dollars home while the land border is closed. Yeah. But, you know, that's a separate conversation for another day. Let's bring it back to the investment summit for a moment. Where are you seeing interest that perhaps is most surprising?
Well, it shouldn't be surprising. The most interest, obviously, is tourism.
Yes.
Belize is a paradise. And everybody is seeing the interest and that could be able to invest in Belize and knowing that it is going to be an investment that will pay off huge dividends for years to come because we are also serious in the protection of the environment.
Yes.
So that's also important. But agriculture, there's a lot of interest in agriculture. Like I tell everybody, you know, the future of this of the country is technology, yes, but it's also agriculture. People have to eat. And we have markets in Mexico. That is why now we're talking about having, we started off with a partial scope agreement, but now it's more a commercial and investment agreement that we want to have with Mexico that would allow our products to go into Mexico. As it is right now, we are importing from Mexico about $125 million US a year. We're exporting, I think, about 250,000. So there's a lot of catching up. We have Guatemala that wants to do more business with us. We have El Salvador. So there's all these markets around us that we could access. And they in turn want to come to Belize because they believe that through Belize they could access the CARICOM market. So we are placed in the right, geographically, in the right position.
And with the interest from Central America, it's the idea of the bridge that we've always said we could be.
When we had the SICA meeting, heads of government in Costa Rica, I was telling them that Belize is going to be the pro tempore presidency in January. And as the president and the pro tempore president of CARICOM, we want to then have heads of government for both SICA and Central America and the Caribbean during my tenure, during those 6 months. And both sides have expressed interest, so now we have to start to plan to make that happen.
And just very quickly, because we did commit to our viewers that they'd be able to ask you a few questions, if you'd permit us, but just Speaking of investment, the ministers, there were a number of ministers who traveled around the U.S. to meet the diaspora community. And I know that a big part of the conversation is looking at Belizeans who are living abroad who are interested in investment. Are there going to be incentives for Belizeans who want to invest in their home?
Well, there are investments for everybody. Whether you're a Belizean or not, you get the same investments. But what we're doing with our diaspora is know that we want to, our ambassador for the diaspora, Ms. Murphy, we are not just setting up a desk, but now we're even setting up an online group so that they could register for the diaspora, so that then they can have direct access to whatever questions that they have, instead of trying to call lands or trying to call immigration or trying to call investment. They can go in one portal,
they have a hub,
and then from there, then we can look after what is it that they're concerned. There is a lot of with our diaspora. There's a lot of talent out there. There's a lot of finance that they have, or access to finance, and we need to take advantage of it. And many of them would like to, but they don't know how to go about doing that. So we need to make that easier for them.
There seems to be a lot of interest from the diaspora in the marijuana, or cannabis, I'm sorry, possibilities in Belize.
Same difference.
When we have the experts, the cannabis experts, they tell us otherwise, but yeah.
What would I know?
Well, we'll have to learn.
Yes.
But what's the plan in that area?
Well, with the cannabis, I think we still have to do a few more consultations before we're almost there. I think Minister Musa has been doing an excellent job in trying to put this thing together, and meeting even with people that are not necessarily supportive of this industry, to try to see how as best we could get as many people on board. We know we'll not be able to get everybody on board, but the point is what we want to assure people that we will put the proper checks and balances in place to ensure, one, to remove it from the criminal underworld, one, two, to ensure that our children and young people are not going to have access to it, and three, that some of these monies are going to be targeted for social programs. National health insurance, free education, social programs for poor people, housing, a number of things that we can do that. So we want to target this money, not just to go into the quote-unquote black hole of government and just throw it in there, but you could say because of this industry, these revenues, we're using this to create so many scholarships, so to create a school, et cetera, et cetera. So it's important that people can see that that money is going to be put into good use for the development of the country.
All right. Well, we do have to get to our viewer questions. I know you have to go. You're past your committed time, but we are still live on air. So let's see if we can get some of our questions in from our viewers, and they'll be able.
And of course,
there we go.
Yeah.
Here we go. When will central bank get a new governor? Will this be another DHS at the Ministry of Health situation?
We're working on both issues. On the issue of the central bank governor, we are looking at what we have at the time, and then decide, and I say we loosely, because the central bank has a certain level of independence, and so they have a board. And so between them, they're looking actively on who they believe would be the best person to be able to lead the central bank. On the DHS, likewise, the minister has said that they are meeting with the former DHS and to see how there could be a decent exit so that we can put fresh blood. We believe that the previous DHS was not successful in handling the COVID situation, and did not have a plan. And so we believe that we have to put a new person with a new vision, a new plan, which is what we're doing right now without really having a new DHS.
All right. And this one says, in your view, is the current LPG monopoly beneficial to the economy of Belize as we continue to experience constant increase in this product?
I must congratulate you to be able to read that, because I certainly cannot read it.
I struggle, it's all right.
We'll read it out loud for you, don't you worry.
I think that what the most important thing that we need to look at is the issue that the price of oil is going up. I think the last time it was already at $90. Remember, a few years ago, it went down to about $15.
Yeah.
Well, now the price goes up, and we have no control over that. And we believe that, they have this monopoly, but that's a discussion for another day, because that is already in the courts. Yeah. And so I can't really, the National Gas Company, so I can't really comment on that. But what I can tell you is that the prices continue to go up, and that has a direct impact on the price of butane.
Yeah, and that's just butane. I'm pretty sure one of these questions
and,
will ask you about fuel
these are the
tax
same
again.
thing, and I know they're going to tell me, you say I'll bring diesel to $9, and that is the plan. We still are committed to that, but we can't do it right now because we certainly don't have the finances to run the government. But we believe that as we can grow the economy and we can get the necessary fundings, then we can shift the tax rates to ensure that we can keep diesel at below $9.
Yeah.
Are students getting any financial assistance this year?
Yes, they are actually. Many of them have been getting financial. Lots have been getting financial assistance.
Okay.
All right. How do you plan to formalize and fund the leadership intervention unit to ensure that this is done?
Well, it has to be through the budget, and that's what we're working on. Like I said, we will be making the proposal known hopefully at the next House sitting, and that is a part of the funding that we have to make available for them.
Okay, let's see. I think we can get maybe two more. What about the medical exempting that was promised?
The what?
I'm not sure. Medical exemption? I don't understand the question, so I can't go further with that.
All right.
If the country is rebounding, when will teachers get back their salaries, those cutted? Will the 3 years be reduced?
I think I just spoke to them earlier, and basically we're saying that we're still not there, but we believe that within 3 years, then we can take a look at how we can then start to look at their salaries. If we can do something earlier, we will, but we can't. I can't tell you today exactly when.
Okay.
All right.
You did answer this question as well, that you said by the end of this month, the meeting with the unions should take place, right?
Yes.
All right. So those have all been answered, and we are out of time.
Totally.
Just, I see you almost getting up ready to
No, I'm not. No, I'm prepared to stay.
You know what they say about you and the media, right?
No. I'm prepared to stay with you guys and to talk as long as I want. Like the UDP for some reason trying to say, like, I know I have press conference. What is the difference coming here, meeting with you, going on Love FM? I've been on all the talk shows, and everybody asks me for an interview. I give them an interview. But the point I want to make is that I don't want to run a one-man show. And that is what the previous government did. There was a one-man show. We have the talent, within our government and our ministers. They can all speak for themselves. And they have been speaking out, and they've been meeting with the media. And to me, that is what is most important.
I just want to ask, just on a personal note, what's the main issue for you? What's the main issue for you that gives you those sleepless nights right now?
That gives me
sleepless nights.
Well, first of all, thankfully, I sleep well every night. I don't sleep long, but I do sleep. But what worries me most is the issue of our young people and the effects that crime has on them. And that if we can't address that head on, then our country will be doomed. We'll have no future. So when we talk about growing the economy, it's not just for business people to make money, but so that our young people are going to have an opportunity to be able to get a job or to start their own business. Because that's another thing that we have to try to put in people's mind, that you don't just have to find one job. You could create your own business. You could find an opportunity as to. There's so many things that can be done once you put yourself to it. I'll give you a simple example again. And I know I use a lot of times my family, but that's the best stories you could give. My second son Johnny, he's into skincare products, and now he's selling it online, and people are buying.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so just as simple as an example, young people can use technology to be able to open a small business and to start with something.
And from your
and it doesn't take a lot of, and it don't take a huge investment.
And from your greatest worry to your brightest spot.
Besides the blue bond.
I think the economy that is starting to rebound, and that we believe that we will be successful in the economy, that we're going to grow the economy, and by doing that, then we'll be able to address a lot of the ills of this country. I'm very optimistic. I'm very hopeful. At the end of the day, we Belizeans, we're resilient. We're hopeful. We are hopeful people. We're optimistic. We're friendly. We're open to people. Sometimes too open, and people take advantage of us. That's for sure. And that is why we're so special. That is why tourists come to Belize and they love it. I mean, you go to Europe and you go and you see these, you see the museums and they have pretty buildings and so forth, but you don't hear and say, oh, and the people are so friendly. But almost every tourist will come to Belize and tell you, oh, Belizeans are so friendly, and you could talk to them and they're telling you jokes, and you know, and they're helpful, and that is what makes us different, unique, and outstanding.
And just lastly, into that camera there, to the Belizeans who are watching right now, I hear your passion of rebounding the economy. Quality of life takes a longer time to feel that effect, and people
of course,
are struggling.
it will take, and I know people are struggling, and I see it every single day. I mean, I walk the streets, I just don't stay in my office, and I see them, and I see the suffering, I see the hardships, and I believe them that they're going through a hard time. But also, I want to let them know that we're doing everything that we can to make their lives better, and it's not going to be overnight. I wish we could give you a pill and boom, but it will take some time. But we are moving in the right direction, and that's the most important thing. We have a plan, we're executing the plan, we're starting to see the benefits, and we're reaping the benefits of that plan.
All right. Prime Minister of Belize, Honorable John Briceño, it was nice to have you in with us this morning. Thank you for coming in to address the national issues. Have a beautiful day, my brother. Thank you.
I love this country, man. I mean, it's the only country, the only one we have. I mean, certainly we only one have. But again, John and Marlene, thank you very much for giving us or giving me this opportunity to be able to talk with you and to be able to answer the questions. And also, you guys also helped me to get a pulse of what people are talking and what they feel and things that we have to do. We're not perfect. We're far from perfect. We've made mistakes. We'll continue to make mistakes. But one thing I could assure you, that our minds are on the right things, our heart is on the right track, and that we are going to turn things around, God willing, and with the support of people. You know, as what Mr. Price used to say, with the grace of God and the support of the people, we will move this country forward. Thank you so much.
All right.
And with that, we'll take our final break. We'll be back in a few. Stay tuned.
Hello, friends. This is Dr. Bob Roberts with another 60-second sermon from God's Word.
The Bible says, "They that sow in tears shall reap in joy. He that goeth forth and weepeth, bearing precious seed, shall doubtless come again with rejoicing, bringing his sheaves with him." Dr. G. Campbell Morgan tells the story of a man whose shop had been burned in the Great Chicago Fire. He arrived at the ruins the next morning carrying a table. He set it up amid the charred debris, and above it placed this optimistic sign: "Everything lost except wife and children and hope. Business will be resumed as usual tomorrow morning." This man realized that success does not come easy, and that sometimes it comes with tears and disappointments and determination and plain hard work. The Bible says lazy people won't get much out of life, but those who work hard will prosper. Theodore Roosevelt said, "It is not the critic who counts, nor the man who points how the strong man stumbled or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who knows the great enthusiasms, the great devotions, and spends himself in a worthy cause, who at best knows the triumph of high achievement and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who know neither victory nor defeat. So remember, weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. Today's 60-second sermon has been presented by Christian Foundations of Faith in cooperation with the Baptist churches in your area.
Imagine going through your entire day without the burden and risk of carrying cash on you. Belize's shift to digital wallets has begun with eCash. We can now skip the cash when collecting money or paying for our essentials, all while using a fast, easy, and secure platform. Simply add funds to your wallet via bank transfer or at an agent, and you're good to go. You will be able to make quick, easy payments simply by scanning QR codes. And best of all, it all happens just like that. Payments are as easy as clicking a link online or scanning a QR code. Download the eCash app from the Google Play and Apple App Store today and take your first step into a cashless lifestyle. The future is here with eCash. For more information, visit www.e-cash.com or contact us via WhatsApp at 613-0257 to find out more.
Es un hecho. Únicamente con Smart obtienes todo realmente ilimitado. Solo con Smart obtienes datos ilimitados en cualquier momento. Mientras que con el otro proveedor solo son datos dobles los fines de semana. Con datos ilimitados todos los días no hay necesidad de esperar, así que es un hecho que nuestros planes ilimitados superan a la competencia. Por lo tanto, no permita que le digan cómo y cuándo usar sus datos y obtenga llamadas, mensajes de texto y datos ilimitados. Vive la verdadera experiencia de planes ilimitados con Smart. Es un hecho. Haga el cambio y viva Smart.
And we're back. Just like that, we have come to the end of our show for today.
That's right. We want to thank Prime Minister John Bressani for joining us this morning to be able to discuss a myriad of issues. Of course, we'll have more or you'll be able to catch some of the highlights in our newscast tonight. Next time I see you, John, we'll be able to talk about it more, but we're just smack out of time. We thank him for doing an extended interview.
That's right.
Allowing us to discuss a number of national issues and being able to address even our viewers' questions as well.
Indeed, we've got to go. Without you, this is not possible. Thank you so very much for starting your morning right with us. If you've got any questions, any concerns, you could drop us a line at oye@channel5belize.com.
You can also find us on Facebook at Open Your Eyes BZ and on Instagram at OYE Believes. Remember to tune in tomorrow morning at 6:30 when you open your eyes
to start your morning right. And as per usual, keep your eyes, your minds,
and your hearts open. We'll see you soon. Enjoy your day, Belize.
Open Your Eyes was brought to you by the Belize Bank. Our country, your bank.